Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I love every time we get together with her because she's got answers to questions about this metaphysical stuff and this energy and healing and all of this. She is a life coach, a Reiki master, a teacher, instructor of metaphysics. And today we're going to look at stones and crystals and how they can support you. I have them. I don't know a lot about it. That's why I call on Dr. Janine Ambrose to help us out with that. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Very well. Thanks, Steve.
So stones and crystals, they're the same thing, right?
Well, yes. Crystals are made from limestone. And it was really interesting. I just found out that marble is made from limestone. And I have a cousin that has a lot of marble in her house, and it actually creates an ambiance and energy in her house by having marble floors and things. Because with great compression, that's what causes marbles, the marble. It's really interesting stuff.
Wow. Didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
All I know is I have some stones, crystals, however you want to look at it. I have bracelets. I have even a stick of selenite right here where I put this stuff on. I understand that you can put your stones, your crystals on there and it will recharge them. Have you heard that?
Selenite's a conduit. They were going to use that when they did fiber optics, but it would have taken too much selenite to do that. So it moves energy, somewhat like copper. So it's really good on your third eye or clean your chakra too, crown chakra.
So when you talk about that, is that you're supposed to take selenite and put it over there to
Well, you
activate?
can feel it. I mean, you obviously are very high consciousness because you're drawn to stones. You unconsciously know about the frequencies. And I saw that you had a lapis. Your bracelet was a lapis.
I'm not
That's a
even sure.
godstone. That's a godstone.
Which one is which? What did you say? I took
the one you picked up. What was the one you picked up?
Are you
It's
saying
dark blue.
this one?
Yeah, the dark blue is lapis.
This is okay.
A
Well,
lapis
actually,
ring.
on the video, this is black here. So I think it's lava stone or something like that. And then
Oh,
these,
okay.
whatever
So
stones
that's
these
black.
are,
It looked blue.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does look blue. I got you there. And these
Yeah.
obviously are the chakra colors. And then somebody gave me this one, and and it fits so well, and I like it. I don't even know what it is.
Is it onyx?
It's black. Um,
Looks like onyx.
maybe, but it's just here's what I wonder about. Somebody gave this to me. I'm not even sure what it is. I just like the way it fits and like the way it looks. Could I be doing harm, loosely put, in wearing something that I'm not even sure what's going on with it in terms of the energy?
Oh, well, you can clean that with lavender or set it out in the sun. That cleans stones. So lavender will clean energies off of things too.
Okay. And I did all of the stuff that I've got here. The last full moon, which was around the eclipse, um, it was bright shining in my window at night, and I put all of these in the windowsill. So would that have cleansed, like wiped it out?
Good job. Yeah, I'm impressed.
All
So
right, well,
you already know what to do.
yeah, I know enough to get into trouble because I don't know, what's going on here, what's happening with it, all of this. Give us some, maybe some tips, some things that we should keep in mind for all of this stuff.
Well, I mean, people are drawn to certain stones. And like when I go in to buy something, I run my hand over it because you'll automatically feel the pull to the stone you need. So rub your hands together and I know people that actually go in the grocery store and run their hand over their groceries and know which ones they need. So we automatically are connected. We just need to know that we can do this. But I have a bunch of stories about stones and the power of them that I wrote down that I was going to share today because they have an influence. They're another piece to the puzzle of life, is the way I like to put it.
I would love to hear those stories. Even before we jump in,
Okay.
I heard this recently that these are crystals, many of them are. And the reason that we're so drawn to them is because there are crystals within us. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
That's what we are. We're light. We reflect. Don't we reflect off of everyone? It's a form of a crystal, too. Crystals also hold information. I was in a conference in Canada, and a stone lady brought a bunch of things in, and she would have these crystal skulls. And she was telling people to hold them in their hands when they're studying, and the information will go into the crystal. It actually holds information. And then when they go to take the test, hold the crystal, and all the information will flow through for the test. I thought that was really interesting too.
Hmm. Okay. Stuff to remember. All right. I look at it this way. As long as you're not doing any harm, like I did have some concern about this one bracelet, and I'm going to say it came from a, how do I describe this? An interesting person. And, I appreciate the gift. They're just a little, I don't know if
Well,
I want
you
that energy.
do listen to how you feel. I mean, I've gotten things where I've thrown them out just because it didn't feel right. The more you listen to how you feel, the more you increase that ability too. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but I guess you would have to like, I'll go hypothetical thing, this bracelet, how you feel with it, how you feel without it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what draws me to it. I don't, there's something that says, I like it. Aside from, again, I like the way it looks. I like the way it fits, the size and all of that. The stones, what they look like. I don't really feel any negative from it. So that's why I feel it's okay.
And you have it on your left hand, right?
I do.
So the left side is taking in, the right side is giving out. So this is a protection for you for taking in. That's what's coming to me.
Hmm. I had no idea.
Because that vibration runs up is your protection on your left side. Well, your whole body, but this is where you're always taking in.
So let me and there's a reason I'm going to ask this, and then I want to hear your stories. So this hand, left hand, is where you receive.
Yes. Your left side, when I do Reikis on people, the energy comes in from the left and then goes like when I do Reiki, I'm giving out from my right side. But when you're taking in, you take in from your left side. So when they do aura pictures, you can actually see that one side of the body will have one color and the other side will have another color, because there's what's leaving and then there's what's coming in
Wow.
energetically.
So I recently did a strength assessment. It was a test, bunch of questions, got to answer them, and then it all puts this together. And it's said to be very accurate. And my two strengths, number one and two, there's 36 of them, by the way, 34. My number two strengths are number one, communication. Number two, empath.
I missed that. What was
Empath.
number two?
Empath. Empathic.
Empath. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm the one that says to everybody else, you're an empath. You got to be careful. I had no idea I rated that high. Um, maybe that's why, maybe that's why this is on the left hand to protect me from all the stuff that's coming my way, which um, I feel even has impacted my health from other people, taking care of other people and not taking care of myself because of, I guess, the empathic nature. And I guess that test proved it. I had no idea it was that high up on the strength
Well,
level.
that's why you want to help people. It's because of that. And that because you sense things in people and you automatically know how to bring joy and happiness or make a joke or just lighten the energy in the area.
I kind of feel that way.
Yeah, you are.
And then that's why I look at this when you said the left hand side, like, maybe I am subconsciously wearing things there as a filter, like gotta protect, there's stuff coming my way, and
You already knew it. Do you see? You need to trust yourself more.
well, yeah, we all do. All right, tell us some stone stories.
Okay. So here's a good one. So when I was down in Florida at St. Augustine's Church, I went in there with a friend of mine, and all of a sudden, I had a bunch of spirits talking to me. The next thing I know, this little guy comes up with dark hair and he looked at me and he goes, "Where's your amulet?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "Where's your amulet? You need to wear an amulet." So I didn't even know what an amulet was. Okay. So I went home. When I got home from Florida, I looked up amulet. It's protection. Okay. You need protection. So it's interesting because I had a necklace that I had a bunch of different stones on. And so I started to wear it because that became my amulet for protection. And you notice a lot of medicine men and different people that are into spirituality will wear stones, you know, and what that is an amulet. And maybe that's kind of what your bracelet is too, is a form of protection. But it was pretty interesting. So then when I looked at the picture when I went to leave the church, it was the same guy that came up to me and asked me where my amulet was, but he had passed St. Augustine.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah. I didn't even know what in it. That comes to me a lot. I get words and I don't know what they mean. So that's one really interesting story.
I've never heard that one.
I
Amulet. Wow.
know, well, there's probably a lot of things you haven't heard that I'm going to share with you. Isn't it
All right.
fun?
Yeah. Yeah. You got another story?
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is about a coin. So I was living on an acreage, raising my two kids, and my sister's baby died of SIDS. And she had a really tough time. So her and her husband came and stayed at my house afterwards for a while. And my mother always did ceramics. So she had made me this rabbit with the lid, those big things that are like this with the lid. And I put green grass in it that I bought at the store. So after my sister left, I was putting the stuff away from Easter, and I lifted up the grass, and there was this coin that was all dark and, from being really old, and it was of St. Pius, I can't even remember anymore, but it was about a pope. And so this coin was in there. So my sister calls me up the next day and said to me, "Janine, I had a dream you have something for me." And what's funny, when I found it, I put it on a necklace right away, just immediately, unconsciously. And I go, "Oh, that must be the coin that I found." It was back in the 1800s, this coin. So I gave it to her. I mean, it materialized basically. I gave it to her. She wore it. And a few years later, I said to Michelle, "What did you ever do with that stone or that coin, that necklace?" And she goes, "It just disappeared out of my jewelry box." So she needed to wear that during the transition of losing her child. Spirit works in strange ways.
Really does. And we don't realize it unless we're looking, understanding it. You just brought back a story in my mind.
Cool.
It was 2 years ago, not even a year and a half ago. My daughter had to go to the hospital. So we're in the hospital, and it was valet parking, by the way. And I had just got back from visiting a friend in Georgia, and he's into stones and things like that. He's not into the metaphysical. He just thinks they're cool. So I was in the shop with him and with a bunch of other. We had like a guy reunion. We're all hanging out, and I'm in there and I'm like, yeah, let me buy a couple of things here, like rose quartz. I love the way they look, So I bought some. So I go to Valet Park because my daughter was in the emergency room, and the attendant, could have been more than like 22 years old, comes out and goes, "Oh, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I want to get a rose quartz and I want to put it on my rear view mirror like you have it." And I didn't even think about that until I just saw that just now. I'm like, I don't know. I just literally just put it there. So it resonated with him. And I'm like, you know what? I reach into my pocket and I hand him a rose quartz because I had an extra one when I was down there. There's an ending to this story. So he was, thankful for all of that. I walk in the hospital. They tell me that there's no room for my daughter. Could be a couple of days. Conditions weren't the greatest in the emergency room area. And I'm like, okay. And I pray to my mom. I'm just sending signals. Mom, can you do something? Can you just like, we got to get a room. What can you do? Nurse comes out 30 minutes later and says, yeah, we got a room available. It's all good to go. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. All right. And then I find out that the nurse assigned to my daughter, her name is Rose. That's my mom's name. And not only was it the first name, but it was my mom's maiden last name. And that was the nurse assigned to my daughter.
Wow. Wow.
And it started
Isn't
with
it fun?
the rose quartz that I just happened to have. And the guy saw it and like synchronicity. Like, what's going on here? I don't know. I'm just gonna sit back and ride that wave and see where it takes me. You
And
never
you're
know.
conscious enough to see the whole process and pattern of it all.
Oh,
That's the whole thing, is being conscious.
let me tell you there, Janine, there was not even a question in my mind that that was the universe, mom energy working, even more so to the point that when I was seeing with my daughter, the lady walks by and she's like, hey, how y'all doing? And she passed by. I'm like, who's that? She goes, oh, that's somebody named Rose. I'm like, oh, is that your nurse? She goes, no, it's somebody else named Rose was taking care of my
Oh,
daughter.
wow.
Like, it's like, can't make that stuff up. But
No?
I think to your point, if you're aware of it and you just harness the power of these things called crystals and all of that, um, what's your three? If you had to pick three stones, crystals, whatever you would have on you, what would it be?
Um, well, diamonds have the highest frequency.
Do they
You
really?
know, Saint Germain used to sew diamonds in his clothes because of the frequency, and he also created the elixir of life. That's an interesting book you should get on Saint Germain, because he was part of the Masons before they got corrupted. Um, so yeah,
Hmm.
he actually created the elixir of life and shared it with one other person, I think, and
Wow.
which had powdered stones in the elixir. And I know what one of them is, and that's a ruby. But anyway, I haven't meditated enough to see what the rest of them are.
I had no idea. I never heard that a diamond has the highest vibration.
Yeah, I mean, it can cut glass.
Yeah. Wow.
Diamonds are powerful, you know,
Hmm.
and that's why when you wear them, it's not about the cost of them, it's about the frequency of a diamond. And lapis, because it's a godstone. Three, what would be my third one? Well, I had a dream about this stone right here, this aquamarine. My yogi came in my dream and handed me this little uh, tape recorder. And she said, you need a blue stone. Well, then there was a blue stone on the table, and I picked it up and I put it in the tape recorder. And all of a sudden, this wind came and woke me up from my sleep. It took my breath away. Well, then I run into the stone that I saw in my dream. I
Wow.
mean, it's just the synchronicities keep happening. No coincidence, though.
There are none. And what you said before, I've heard as well that when you go to a store and you want to buy some stones or crystals, that you should pick the ones that are speaking to you. Like you said, put your hand over them. What are you
Yeah,
getting? What are you feeling? That's going to be the one. Hmm.
exactly. I was going to see if there's another one I had here. Stone, St. Augustine. So I did a sweat lodge with Black Elk at a World Peace Conference. And so when I'd never done a sweat lodge before. So I walked by it and I had my kids with me. And there were people from all over the world there. And I go, let's go do a sweat lodge to my daughter. So we went in there, and he had like 17 grandfather stones, these stones this big. And then what they do is they heat them up till they're white. And they dig a hole in the ground and they put them in the ground. And then they put these herbs together in water and they pour it over them. Anyway, that was one of them that I wanted to tell you about, the stones again, how the Native Americans use it. But at the World Peace Conference, there was a guy from the White Brotherhood that lives down by Mount Shasta in California. He did an attunement where he held a diamond that was this big in one hand and a quartz in this hand that was carved like a buffalo, and he tuned people with his feet. Anyway, he came to me and he told me to come to Mount Shasta, that the elementals from Atlantis actually live in the mountain and they will appear to certain people that come to the mountain. That was like 25 years ago, and I've never made it there, but I thought it was really interesting that he had tuned with these stones in his hands.
Now, what is that doing? And again, I guess we should explain what attunement is in regard to Reiki.
Okay. Well, it changes. We all have a vibration. So when certain energies come into us, it raises our vibration. So there's some people that have achieved, like my yogi, and hopefully what I'm doing, where we can share this vibration that we have gotten to, and just being in other people's energy fields or focusing it, we can affect them if they choose it. There's always a choice. So it's like a lamp. So you can go up and you can touch a lamp and make it brighter. So we literally brighten the light. And that's why working with one person at a time has such an effect, because once they shift their vibration that comes off their body, anybody they come into contact with for over a half hour, it affects them. So you're shifting things one person at a time too. But
There's so much going on in our world that we don't even realize. Do you feel that way back in the day, since we didn't have all this technology and all these things to get in the way of us just thinking and receiving messages and what's going on there, that we kind of knew all this stuff back then? I'm talking hundreds of years ago. We were more aware of it and then kind of lost track of it, or are we just sort of picking up on it now?
well, that's kind of what happened in Atlantis. They had the consciousness. They used the crystals. They knew how to manipulate energy. But when you do it for power instead of love, it can be destructive.
Hmm.
So Spirit told me it's like if I work with somebody and they end up starting to cry, because I've had that happen before, then I would start to feel bad.
Sure.
And Spirit told me that if I have no intention or I haven't premeditated something and it just comes out of us, not in anger, just, fluidly, then it was meant to be to trigger them, to trigger something in them that they needed to look at. Not that you were doing it out of malice or anger of anything, but if you premeditate something that you're going to do, then that is accountable to you. Does that make sense?
It really does. So let's say you would never do this, but let's say, all right, that person that's coming to see me, I'm going to speak with them. I'm going to, maybe do Reiki on them. I hope they cry. I wonder if I'm going to make them cry. That'd be good. You'd never do that.
No.
But if that was an intent of somebody, then it would be premeditated and it was on them. It was on them that they created that. But if it just organically comes out, it was meant to be. I know, very
Well,
basic.
yeah, it's a reflection. Whatever you put out comes back at you. So that's why we need to release emotion to understanding. Because once we can understand it and just give love, then it just comes back to us. Whatever you give comes back. That's simple.
Even if
So,
we're wishing nasty stuff on somebody who did something wrong to us, and you're just throwing out there negativity. I hope that happens. I hope that happens to them. They deserve it. All of that. If you're throwing that out there, is it reasonable to think that it could come to you?
yeah, I mean, but you can cancel that. In fact, that's kind of a joke in my family because my kids will say something and I'll go, cancel that. And they'll go, geez, mom. I said, don't say that. So you can go back and cancel that so that it doesn't create, because we do. Sometimes we get upset or,
Of course.
something will trigger us but you can just cancel it.
Can you cancel things you've said a week ago, a month ago, things like that?
Absolutely. Their time is fluid.
Right. There is, yeah, energy knows no time and space. So yeah,
Exactly.
hmm, I should have answered that myself. But you put it into perspective. It's like, duh, that's right. It doesn't know. So, well, that's comforting to know all that nasty stuff that we may have thought. or said, even to ourselves, about somebody. Yeah.
Tell you another really cool thing that I do. If something comes in my mind that I feel is negative, I immediately change my vision in my mind to laying in a bed, like a field of flowers. And I just visualize myself absorbing the flowers to change my thought process.
Yep.
So we can take control and change that.
I've done similar where we all get triggered. So you're walking down the
Oh,
street,
yeah.
you run into somebody, and then you see, and then you think, like, look at them, look at the in your mind, but look at the way they're dressed. They're like, stop that thought. It's not positive. It's not loving. Reverse that. Stop it. Press pause. Get it out of there. We're out of time. I always love talking with you. Learn so much. like zooms by. Unfortunately, here there is time and space, and it's it's not like the universe. Exactly. Janine, I know your website is a form of your name. What is it again?
It's www.docja.org. .pro.
PRO. Gotcha. Always great talking with you. Always
You
learn a lot.
too.
Yeah.
You're a great guy.
I got to take back. I got to cancel some stuff, so I got to go. All right. We'll talk next time. Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.